All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever episode of From the Front Porch. Woo woo! I decided to start this podcast because I'm constantly having interesting conversations with my friends, my family, acquaintances, and even people I disagree with. And every time we have one of these conversations around people, they're always going, "Oh, you guys should start a podcast, or you and him should start a podcast, or your whole work center, you should start a podcast." So I decided, you know what? I'll start the podcast, and I'll bring on these amazing and interesting people in my life, and we'll have a structured and contained environment to have these kind of conversations. I'm going to go ahead and set the tone. I am a Christian. I am a patriot. I am a conservative, and I'm for the boys. I'm a Christian first. I specifically put that first. Christ is king, and all of my worldview goes through the lens of Christianity. And so all of my viewpoints, all of my political views, all of my cultural views, they are filtered through that lens. I say that to let you know where I'm coming from, but I hope that doesn't dissuade anyone from listening to these interesting conversations, because I think that even if you don't consider yourself a Christian, you can still take something away from these conversations. I'm a patriot, and I specifically put patriot before conservative because I'm for the people of this country and the country itself, before a political party, before a side, before a team. I think obviously it's been said 1,000 times, but I think this team versus that team is part of the reason we can't get anything done in this country, and a lot of us are struggling in our day-to-day. However, I am a conservative, and I think that conservatism is the political viewpoint that allows the greatest amount of flourishing, the greatest amount of freedom, the greatest amount of individual liberty. And so that's the political viewpoint from where I stand, through which I stand. And lastly, I'm for the boys. Now, that's for the boys, capital B, TM. That doesn't mean I'm going to be one of these red pill podcasts that sits on here and craps on women and says women aren't worth anything. I'm married. I have a daughter. And so I'm not going to sit on here and talk about how awful women are and how men shouldn't get married and men shouldn't have kids with their wives, because I am a very big advocate for both of those things. However, for the boys, it's just sort of a mindset. I'm here for the boys. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to have good conversations. The way we came up with the name From the Front Porch is that we found that, when you're sitting on the porch, smoking a stogie, maybe drinking a Coca-Cola, that's when you're able to have those best conversations. In your day-to-day, you normally have conversations like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" or "How was your weekend?" But when you're able to just sit on the porch, sitting around with the boys, that's the opportunity to have deep, meaningful conversations. And I think we need more of those in our lives, not less. I have to put this disclaimer out there. All of these opinions are my own and do not represent anyone else or any other organization. They are mine and mine alone. My opinions don't represent any guest. They don't represent any organization or anything else other than myself. I hope I made that clear enough. A little bit about myself. I am married and a father of two, as I stated before. We just had our newborn son December 18th. Thank God. Everything went perfectly great with that, so I'm very thankful for that. Right below Christ, my family comes right underneath. My wife and my kids are my everything. They're the reason I do everything. They're the reason I work the way I work and do what I do to provide the life for them that they deserve. On this podcast, we're going to talk a lot about sports, mainly about football. I've been watching football for 20 years and playing for 19 years. And so that's the sport we're going to talk about the most. I dabble a little bit in boxing, a little bit in UFC, and a little bit more than those in rugby. Just started playing. So those are the sports we're going to mainly stick to on this show. Unless something crazy happens, I will not be talking about soccer because I'm not a commie. I'll not be talking about basketball or golf or any other sport unless there's a guest that's their thing, but that's not my thing. So we're mainly going to stick to those: football, boxing, UFC, rugby on this channel. And on that note, this is my podcast. Every man, woman, and child with a mic and internet access has their own podcast. If you find yourself unable to cope with the things I say, or you don't like the subjects that I talk about, or if you think I'm goofy looking, or you don't like the way I speak, there are 106,000 other podcasts that you can go watch, and I'm sure they'd be your cup of tea. Do not send me your weekly worded letters. Don't comment at me. I have more respect for my newborn son's past gas than I do for negative opinions of me and my worldview and the people in my life. So just save your time. Go watch something else. Just turn the computer off. It's not that hard. With all that out of the way, for the first episode of this show, I am obligated by all things good and holy to have on my best friend, the godfather of my children, and my brother from another mother, Alex Hartford. We're going to talk about life, liberty, and our pursuits of happiness. We're going to have good conversations about sports, about culture, about movies. We're going to try to determine our favorite movies from 2023 and maybe talk about why coming up with a favorite movie from 2023 was so difficult. And then lastly, both he and I have aspirations once our careers are done to settle in Florida. And so we're going to debate our tier list for the greatest parts of living in Florida. All this and more coming up from the front porch.
Big ships and small ships, and no ships like friendships.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever episode of From the Front Porch. I am your host, Joshua Walker. With me today, I have the most special guest. I have the greatest basketball player of all time, the man who reinvented fashion itself, and the man with the largest calves in the world, Alex Hartford.
Okay, all right.
How you doing today?
Good now. Now that you just hype me up like that.
Yeah.
My calves are huge. I'm known for that, actually. I'm known for that.
I think so. What have you been up to, man?
Nothing, transition out of the military. A lot of school, studying stuff, trying to get certs before getting out, applying for jobs. That's about it, really.
Headed for your master's degree?
Yep, after these 2 classes, I got 4 really easy ones left, and that's it.
Nice. You gonna go for your doctorate after that?
Hell no shot.
Mr. Dr. Hartford? Mr.
No,
Dr.
I would, but I think cybersecurity is a field that you have to constantly contribute back to with studies and research and paper, and I don't want to do that, so I'm just gonna get the master's.
Well, dude, we could get you ordained, and then you could be Dr. Reverend Alex Hartford.
You know what? Now that you say that,
I think we're headed that way.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, well, let's get into this, dude. The NFL season. Have you been following the NFL season pretty closely?
Not as much as I have been the last few years, but I try to keep up with your team, my team, any of our friends' teams. I try to keep up with them and watch the highlights.
So you've been keeping up with your team, Philly. That's been tough.
Yeah, I started off good. What did we lose? 3 out of the last 4 or something. Yeah. So the Cowboys got the number 1 seed, huh?
No, the 49ers at 1 seed.
Okay.
And then Ravens in the AFC, and but dang, dude, you guys lost to the Cardinals. I cannot believe.
I was watching that game.
Meltdown.
I think I was on to eat, and I was watching that, and of course, there's just one single old dude, which that's fine. I mean, I go out to eat all the time by myself, but he was cheering so loud every time the Cardinals scored. I was like, dude, I'm gonna in a second.
You had a bar fight over this game. That doesn't matter at all.
Actually had to hold me back. I was about to start swinging.
Start swinging on a dude, man.
Yeah.
You gotta keep that Philly even outside of Philly.
Crime right there.
Shoot, man. Well, as a Seahawks fan, I can't say much more. We had to win this last game against the Cardinals to make the playoffs, even though we've had a pretty easy schedule. So It is what it is.
What position are they in? First, second,
Who,
third?
Seattle?
Yeah.
Seattle is currently the 8th seed, so if we win, we're in. But if we have to win to be in.
Gotcha.
But lost to the Rams twice. That's always tough.
Rams.
Can't stand Los Angeles. The Rams. And then my mom, obviously being a 49ers fan, has been super tough this year because it's so hard to talk anything when. And then I can't stand Baltimore. And then the one time I cheer for San Francisco, the one time in my entire life I've cheered for San Francisco, they take an absolute poop against Baltimore in prime time. On Christmas weekend too. I can't believe it.
What is the Ravens only have 2 or 3 losses, right?
Yeah, they go 3, and they're all to bad teams. It's not to good teams. It's to really bad teams.
What are they? I mean, I thought they fell off the last couple years, but this year they're just clicking.
Well, they're stacked. They have the number one defense in the league, which always
Mm-hmm.
helps, and then they have the number two running game, number one running game, something like that. So,
Lamar Jackson is
and then
healthy.
Lamar Jackson is healthy. I think he's unhealthily overrated, but that's just
Yeah.
my
You know who they should actually trade
opinion.
him for and bring him back? Joe Flacco. Let's
I
get
think
him
so,
back.
dude. The
Yeah.
way that Mr.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco is winning for the
Joe
city of Cleveland,
Flacco. Mm-hmm.
Joe Flacco. I
Mm.
think, yeah, what an
Yeah,
absolute
the
stud Joe
Browns are
Flacco
like
is.
Browns might get 12 wins, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah, they win.
well, I might gotta I'm not sure what their record is, but yeah, I mean the fact that they're set to have a playoff game against the Ravens, who they've already beat, is like if Joe
Mm.
Flacco knocks Lamar Jackson out of the playoffs, that will be the
That'd be
greatest day of
awesome.
my life.
That'd be awesome. I'm rooting for him.
It sucks because when Lamar came in and was like sort of an underdog, and they wanted to make him receiver and everything, I was rooting for him because I was like, I'm always rooting for the underdog. But the minute
Hmm.
he can't do anything wrong, it's like, no,
Yeah.
all right, never mind.
I don't like the way he played out his contract, like trying to get a contract. How he just
And
wouldn't sign with
a
anybody.
fully guaranteed contract, a
Yeah.
fully guaranteed, like, dude,
Did you see? Speaking of
excuse me, I
contracts, did
understand.
you see that the baseball player Ohani, whatever his name is, 10-year, $700 million.
Shohei,
Shohan or Shohan?
dude,
I don't know. I don't know.
Shohei
He's a beast.
Otani,
He's
I
nice.
think
He's
he
nice.
is a beast, but almost $1 billion to play baseball.
Yeah. Did you see how he's doing it?
That's
How he set up his contract though? For the first 10 years,
mm-mm.
I think he's taking 2 million a year. Because in California, if you uh, if you defer your payments for 10 years, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So he won't have to pay taxes on the 68 million he'll get for the next 10 years after that, or something. It's something
You
like
mean
that. He
like the 680?
yeah, he won't have to pay like any taxes on it.
That's
Smart,
what a smart dude, though. Yeah, that's what a smart dude. That's all right. Well, and the other thing that's crazy is, as a Seahawks fan, I'm also a Huskies fan, and the fact that they're in
Mhm.
a national championship is like
Yeah,
absolutely wild to me.
yeah, that's cool.
I think that Michigan's like run game is pretty scary, but I tell you what, the game against Texas that the Huskies played,
Hmm.
I think we got a shot. I like Michael Penix. I like there's like three stud receivers out there, which the fact that the Washington Huskies are going to have like 4 first-round picks is crazy.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's like some Alabama stuff totally unheard of in the Pac-12.
right out there too. That's
Yeah.
still at this weekend.
Uh, that is actually, let me find that date.
Because
Dude, so with
the
having a newborn and everything, it's like I don't know the dates for anything anymore.
oh yeah, dude, it's Monday today, clearly.
Yeah, like yes, like we're leaving for Florida tomorrow in Saturday, and like today I was like, oh, it's Wednesday. I got a couple days. And I do not.
No.
Yeah, so it's Monday. The national championship is Monday,
Okay.
January 8th,
Gotcha.
after the most beautiful federal holiday of the year, which is January 6th, the Boston Tea Party 2 day.
Yeah, yeah. I saw pictures of them, people preparing for it.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Well, speaking of sort of semi-politics issues, this Epstein client list stuff has been
Okay,
kind of
I need you
crazy.
to explain that to me because I've just seen like all the oh my god, Oprah was on there, Stephen Hawking was on there. I don't even know what it is. It's just people who
Dude,
visited the island,
Stephen. Yeah, so well, and what the documents they released from what I've seen are like witnesses that like victim witness statements claiming like this person was here and they did this and this person was here and they did this. And
Mhm.
the fact that Stephen Hawking is on there
Yeah.
is one of the craziest things of all time. I I'm not trying to make light of a terrible situation because I wish Epstein could have gotten a much worse punishment than getting killed in prison. But what is Stephen Hawking doing on
Did you
a
see the
human
transcripts about
trafficking island? Like,
and midgets or something. I saw
I
somebody
dude,
posted,
it's so
like
hard.
transcripts of it.
And that he was like watching midgets like try to do math or something. I don't, dude.
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah,
problem with the
on a
internet is,
tall
it's like,
chalkboard or something. Like
yeah,
what?
yeah,
It has to be
dude.
fake. There's no way.
The the problem
How
is
did?
the stuff that's going to come out. All of it's going to seem that way. It's all going to be like that's so
Yeah.
insane that there's no way that's real.
Yeah. How it comes? I was seeing that some people were like requesting to be taken off of it, the list. Like some celebrities
Well,
weren't,
I mean,
didn't show up on it.
I'm not sure about that. I haven't heard anything about that. I know that, I mean, everything was redacted up until like yesterday. So
Mm,
I don't know if there are any celebrities who are like, "Oh no, I swear I didn't do anything. Don't put me on there," or what. But
mm, not sure.
I saw. Have you seen the Aaron Rodgers stuff?
No.
The Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers wanted to know who was on the Epstein list. Jimmy Kimmel called him a tinfoil hatter for wanting to know who was on the Epstein list. And so then
Mm,
Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari, one of the linemen, was like, "Okay, so you're on the list. That's the only reason you would be upset that I want to know who's on the list."
mm-hmm.
So it's just, it's like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to know who's on the list, because even someone like me who's as conservative as I am, like if there was a conservative politician or Donald Trump or whoever was actually, I want to know. I want to put him in the same firing line that we put all the other people in. So
Yeah.
I don't know what reason you would have for not wanting to know the list.
The only thing that I'm like trying to play both sides really is like, what does it mean being on that list though? Like, is it just means you visited? It doesn't mean anything else, or does it potentially mean that they
Well,
were part of it or something?
I know Bill Clinton, like there's been parts which I be very careful so I don't end up on that that hit list for the
Mm,
Clintons, but um, Bill Clinton was there's like he was involved in some of it, and then there's now proof in the transcripts that he tried to bury like a Vanity Fair story or something about
mm.
like being included in it. So like it's not only that you're in it, but you're now trying to bury that you're in it, and it's like that's a
Yeah.
little red
He's been
flag.
in a lot of controversial stuff, so who really knows?
Yeah, I mean, there was that painting that came out, and I'm not sure the validity behind the painting, but of like him in the blue dress, and he's like all like dolled up.
I haven't
It's
seen
like the
that.
funniest picture of all time. Oh, dude.
I'll have to pull it up after this.
Yeah, it's a wild conversation, and it's kind of wild that it's turned like we sort of found the island, and everybody was like, "Oh crap, I can't believe this is like a real thing that's actually happening." Like, and then Epstein got suicided, and then Epstein didn't kill himself, became a meme, and then it's just everything's kind of turned into a meme, and it's like, I think we need to refocus. Like, there was a guy who had an island where rich people would come and like molest kids. Like, I think
Mhm.
we need to
Let's
get
focus
out of
on
the
that.
meme and go back to reality.
Yeah. Well, the same thing when like that submarine exploded or imploded.
Yeah,
I didn't. Nobody. All I saw was memes. Like nobody wanted to
yeah.
say anything else. It was just memes. Yeah, I feel like that's all the internet really
Well,
cares about now.
it's kind of crazy because it's because he would like the person who owned the company or whatever was super rich, and it's like the fact that we've come to a place where if you're not on a victim status, you're not a part of the victim totem pole, then
Hmm.
your life just like doesn't matter. And so if something happens to you, like
Yeah.
tough, we're gonna make a meme about it. But
Hmm.
like controversial. But somebody like George Floyd can get like gold statues and stuff made of him, and it's like right, wrong, or indifferent around the situation of his killing. He was not the kind of person we build statues to, but because he was in one of those groups, now we build statues and paint murals, and
Hmm. Right, but
just a
because the
crazy
rich,
time we live in.
billionaire died, then it doesn't matter.
Like he wasn't like a father and
Yeah, all
somebody's
that stuff.
son, like all these kind of things. Like, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Cassie likes talking about it a lot, but there was I like to get in debates online, as you know, and so
Hmm.
one of the arguments I got in it was basically like personal freedom versus morality, and so I'm sure I don't remember exactly, but I'm sure it's centered around abortion, and so like whether you have the freedom to do something wrong. And basically, the argument divulged into this guy saying, justifying rape, in that, like, if I want to do it, I should be able to do it, and if you don't want to do it, then you don't do it, but I'm allowed to do it. And it's like every time I go on the internet, I don't understand how we've lost like our collective minds on bare basic, or even the thing. I don't know if you saw the trend the other week of Osama bin Laden, and people were like reading his book and were like, "Oh my God, Osama bin Laden was right all along," and it's like we've come to a point where we're so far removed from like 9/11 that people are like, "Oh my God, no, I've discovered that Osama bin Laden was right," and it's like, no, you're just dumb.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so. But anyway, I'm going to rant. That's part of the reason we came up with the name. I was talking to my dad. I was like, I want a name that sort of signifies me being that old crotchety man on the front porch, like yelling at the kids to get off his lawn. Cause like that's how I feel most of the time. Just ranting and raving about everything that's bothering me.
Yeah. No, I really like the name, and I really like the logo. It looks like
my dad. Shout out my dad. Shout out Papa Walker.
You made that?
Yeah.
Nice. Good man.
Yeah.
Good man.
I was gonna pay for one, and he was like, "No. Give me like 2 days." And I was like, "Okay."
No, it's perfect.
Yeah. But speaking of things that bother me, and ranting and raving about things that bother me, I want to move into something we talked about earlier. What did you come up with something that you were thankful for?
Yes. For me,
Let's hear it.
and I feel like it's kind of I'll go first. Don't worry.
Yeah.
For me,
You started off.
I feel like I don't know if it's just like kind of people like around the circle that I'm in, like not really people that I'm associated with, but just like older people like our age or even like in their 30s and stuff, that they're just not they're just so lazy. They're so lazy.
Oh, so you're
They don't
moving
wanna
to
work.
what you're complaining about?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't even think about what I'm grateful for because that was on my mind first.
Okay, we'll go first. We'll go first.
Yeah.
We'll complain
Then good,
first.
right? Bad then good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I feel like a lot of the people around my circle, they're just so lazy. They don't want to work.
Yeah.
They don't provide for their families. Just, I don't know. I can't stand. Oh, well, sorry. Actually, you know what? I was going to what I was grateful for. So I've been seeing that a lot lately. And it just makes me thankful and grateful for my dad because I feel like he just taught me so much about like just how to conduct yourself, how to be a good man, how to just be a normal person, not like a lazy lump on a log. And lately I've been seeing a lot of that, and as I see it even more, you know what I mean?
Well, and it's like everywhere you go, whether you're going to Walmart or you're like Chipotle or anything, like every time you walk in somewhere, you are made to feel like an inconvenience for being in the place where your money pays their paycheck. Like they don't get a paycheck without you, but they don't want you there to pay for their paycheck. And it's like, I actually shout out the tobacconist in Sumter, South Carolina. I believe it's a married couple. We haven't really had that deep of a conversation, but the first time I went in there was just to buy a cigar and like leave. And they were kind of upset because they wanted me to stay. And when I was leaving, they were like, "Well, next time you buy a cigar, make sure you're going to come hang out because, like, we want to provide you a safe place to like enjoy yourself and watch the game and do all those kind of things." And I walked back to the car and just had to sit for a second because it's like I haven't been made to feel that way in a like establishment in a business in years, probably since before COVID.
Get in and get out, leave us alone type thing.
Yeah. Why didn't you order this online?
Right. Maybe because I like to talk to
All right.
humans.
Well, no, they don't want you to. Oh, and that's the thing. Is like every young person today is like an anxious little ball of like depression and anxiety, and they don't know how to talk to people, and it's just like the young kids that don't know how to talk is there was a whole thing about the science around the masks during COVID and what that did to their learning. But like 18-year-olds today, like the new employees I get into my job, like they don't know how to talk to human beings. They're just like, you say, "How you doing?" It's good. You say, "What did you do this weekend?" They say nothing. Like there's no personability. They're all just like low functioning robots.
Oh yeah. Well, even the last time I was in Florida when I was trying to fly back, there was you. I think it was like through Delta. You couldn't go up, and there's four people up at the not at the kiosk, but behind the desk. Four people just standing there, and there's 50 of us in line at two kiosks. And I left the line. I was like, "Can you help me?" And they're like, "You got to check in like the kiosk." And I was like, I work on computers all day. I want to talk to a human. So can you please just stop
Yeah,
standing there and, just help me? I just want to check into my flight. I'm like, sorry for
dude.
making you do something.
The when I go to Walmart and I use self checkout because when you go through the regular line, they're like, "Why are you here?" Like
Yeah.
you just go use self checkout. But then the people at the self checkout, when you have to ask them for something, it's you know, like pulling fingernails off for them to come help you, and it's like your job is to monitor like self checkout all day. I don't know
Hmm.
how you don't walk over to people and be like, "You need anything?" Because that would drive me absolutely crazy. And these people are
Oh, yeah.
like, "Nope, I'm getting paid 8 hours a day for this to just stand here and
Hmm.
do nothing."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I worked self-checkout before I joined the military when I was in college, and I had to sit there and be like, do you need help with anything? I couldn't stand it. You just sit there and do nothing if not.
Well, and I worked at Publix before, and it was like we were taught during training that every customer that came up to you, it was like, "How are you doing today? Can I help you with anything?" And even
Hmm.
Publix today, not today, but recently, I go there and it's like there's nothing. There's no conversation. There's no like, how can I help you? I went to Publix when Cassie had given birth, and we were getting sandwiches to eat in the hospital, and I showed up a little early because I was like, I ordered it on the app and drove over, got there too quickly. It
Hmm.
was a little early, no big deal. Well, the manager was there and started yelling at me, or not yelling. She started asking me what I was waiting for, and then started yelling at one of her employees that it wasn't done, and then he started yelling at me that like I was early, and the time on the ticket said like 11:15, and it was 11. And I went,
Hmm.
I know I'm here early. I'm not upset. I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
And so then he like went back to like trying to start making it, and I was like, I'm gonna take a lap around the store because I'm not just gonna stand here and stare at him after that. But it was like that sort of mindset of like I'm gonna yell at somebody, a customer who's coming to pay my bills, and I'm gonna like treat him like I would get paid whether he was here or not. It's like, no, you wouldn't.
Right.
Like me personally, yeah, you'd still get paid, but like if everybody stopped coming, you wouldn't get paid, dude. Like
That's
I
why I
I
think
don't
everybody
understand.
needs to
So
work like a customer service or a retail job once in their life, though, so they can see how the way some people talk to people is insane to me. I
yeah.
can't stand it.
On the flip side of that, I mean, yeah, the Karen thing and uh, you know, trying to walk a thin line here, but the people who will yell at other people in stores like loudly, not concerned about like dignity or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's just
I just
like
sip
when I
my
was growing
tea,
up, my dad was like, "You just what?"
sip my tea while I watch them do it. I can't be
Oh
part of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude, my dad when I was growing up would not let me wear tank tops out because they were beach or gym wear, and like that was the kind of standards he had when we were young. And now people are just like, it feels like people just do whatever they want all the time, and it's like I don't know when like social class and social responsibility went out the window, but
Oh yeah. Well,
a long
even
time
the
ago.
other day, I was at a jujitsu tournament, and it was like the little kids, like maybe 6, 7, 8 year old. I don't know what the year division it was, but some little girl in like this big of spandex on. And as I was turning to talk to Ashley, being like, "How did her mom let her wear?" She goes and says the exact same thing. Like, "I would never let my daughter wear that." It was do not understand it. It's weird.
And it's sort of like we went from like bullying was bad, which I think there's a debate to be had there, but we went from bullying is bad to you cannot tell anybody anything is wrong ever. And if you tell somebody what they're doing is wrong, you're judging them, and like how dare you judge them and blah blah blah. And it's just like sometimes people deserve to be judged.
Yeah,
The way
yeah.
I
You
always
can
put it
say
is
that.
like
You can,
you
yeah.
would
Go ahead. Go ahead, my bad.
yeah, I was gonna say the way I put it is like you would judge like a child molester like you would, and then so
Mhm.
there is things you would judge. Really, it's just a matter of where you draw the line with what you would judge. And I think we've moved way too far that way, and we need to come back and be like, hey, there's way more things we need to be judging. You know, pride marches in the street with wieners out is probably something we should be
Yeah.
judging.
What about them bringing? I've seen some like bringing like drag queens and stuff to like elementary schools, and they're teaching and that their junks out and stuff, and I'm like,
Reading, yeah, dude.
what is going
There's
on?
and that's the crazy thing is that when you go online and like I I had to delete my X account, my Twitter account because I was like it's just cancer. It's just but like you go on there and people will gaslight you that like it's not happening, and you'll see pictures and videos of drag queens and trainees and whatever reading to little kids, and you're like, I see it happening. Like I can see with my own eyes, and that's that actually well, that's my that was my old man complaint. My thing I'm grumpy about, my what grinds my gears was that it seems like a lot lately, whether it's political, whether it's football, whether it's anything, people just tell you, no, you don't see what you see with your eyes. Just listen to me, like,
Mm,
and we've got it. Like, because I read a news story today that crime is actually down, and then like you go look, and 40% of major cities are not reporting their crime to the FBI,
yeah.
and a bunch of major cities, as we know, are not like policing at all. They're just like letting people run rampant in the streets, and then even if they do get arrested, they're probably going to get let go by the judge. So it's like you you change all the rules of the game and then tell me the game is going great, and it's like, well, no, because we're not even talking about the same thing anymore.
Yeah,
It's
I can't
actually kind
stand the
of on the with sports.
yeah. Well, with sports, this applies to that too. Like people put out these really weird statistics that
Mm.
doesn't make any sense just to make them look like they're like the best player ever. Like this woman is the first person to score 40 points and 8 rebounds on a Tuesday in the month of March with the year ending in an odd number. It's like, okay. And I feel like that's just
Guys,
being applied to like everything, like
everything.
every as minute as possible. The scope is so little that it seems bigger or smaller than what it really is.
Well, and then that's how people are like hiring for important positions too. Is we need like the first gay, trans, black,
Yeah.
Jewish, Muslim person to run this thing, and it's like, no. How about we just calm down? How about we like just go back to normal? Like when somebody does a good job, if it's the black, gay, trans, whatever person doing a great job and reinvented the wheel, then give them a hot pat on the back. But
Yeah.
how about we worry about like quality over like descriptive like words? It's just I don't know. We live in a crazy, crazy time.
What do you think would take as a nation for us to go back to what normal looks like in your eyes?
Well, unfortunately, I think some sort of so on the positive end, I think it would be a candidate that somehow speaks to both sides, even though as soon as one side started going, oh, this person's great, the other side would go, okay, they're awful. But I think it would be a candidate that both sides can be like, okay, this is our guy, like he's good for both sides, and we'll do it. But my pessimistic mind is like the last time that a presidential candidate was removed from the ballot was a Republican, and that was Lincoln, and that was before the Civil War. And so I I'm concerned that that's actually like not a joke anymore, and it's like not an unrealistic endpoint for where we're headed, for what trajectory we're on. And I think that, and I don't know what that would look like, especially like in the modern day, with we know about cyber warfare and all that kind of stuff. Like it would get pretty freaking insane. But I
Hmm.
think so. I think either positively, it's a candidate that speaks to both sides, or unfortunately, I think we're more so or sort of the pessimistic, but without violence, is people have talked about balkanizing, which is like Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina become like their own nation, and like Texas and Louisiana become their own nation and stuff. So like I I think that's tough though, because you know I can't see, like, if Florida, Georgia, South Carolina became their own nation, the United States letting them continue to be a nation. Like
Right, right. Well,
So,
didn't California just try to
but
do that recently?
well, Texas tried to do that too. Texas has
Mm.
put legislation down to secede, but and do I think that the U.S. government would go then into Texas and start like attacking Texas to take it back? I don't know. I don't think so, but they do crazy stuff all the time. So
Yeah. How big, like, we can, I would have to see it on a map, but like Europe is, there's so many small nations over in Europe.
yeah.
Does the United States, how, like, that size compared to these European countries, how many could we split into potentially? Like, is it going to be the United States of America, or is it going to be the states of America at that point?
Well, yeah, it would end up being like the independent states.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there would be no more USA. I don't know what would I don't know what that looks like, honestly. Like, I don't think
Right.
anything like that in recent history has ever happened, of like a country like the United States that's so powerful and so great, like breaking up like a boy band. So I have
Hmm.
no idea what that would look like, but
I
excuse
don't
me.
think we could do it.
Um, and there's I don't know if you saw it, but there's a movie coming out next year literally called Civil War, and it's California and Texas like secede together, which is a weird concept that they
Yeah.
think would happen, but they secede together, and then they fight the United States government, and so it's like, well, I mean, I guess that'll sort of be a Hollywood version of what it would look like, but I I don't know. I have no idea where that would go, what would happen. Even for people like us who like being veterans, it's like for people still in the military, like what does that look like for an active duty person? Like,
Right. That's
do you
what I
not
was thinking
serve
of.
those states anymore? Like,
Hey, what's the switching topics? Kinda like, I guess,
yeah.
world ending, United States ending. What I've seen a thing with like a bunch of billionaires building bunkers recently, but I didn't really read into it. What is going on there?
Uh, so I have not read. Oh, there's not really anything to read into other than 14
Yeah.
billionaires all at the same time decided that they're going to build bunkers, which is like when the people in the know start doing something, it's like, well, why are you
Hmm.
doing that?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of crazy because this podcast, is like about sports and politics, and it's for the boys, and we're gonna have a good time. But like, it's tough. It's something I struggle with a lot, of being like, talking about the NFL playoffs, but really like there's some crazy stuff going on that
Hmm.
like it's just kind of crazy to even try to enjoy things. Which actually that was one sort of a New Year's resolution, which it just is a thing I'm gonna do. Um, that this year, I'm going to enjoy things more, because if a civil war happens or if a world war happens, then I can deal with it when it comes. But I'm not going to sit around and, I'm already prepared. I'm, stay in shape, have lots of
Hmm.
ammunition and all that kind of stuff. So like, I'm already prepared. So if it comes, it comes, and we'll deal with it when it comes. And then, but I'm not going to sit around and worry about the end of the world while the current world is going on.
Right. Yeah. That's too much to plague your mind with, really.
Yeah. Oh, all right. That was a deep little transition.
Mm.
This is what happens. This is why From the Front Porch became a thing, because we were going to come on here and have a good time with the boys, and then the reason for From the Front Porch is that this is like the only time you can get to conversations like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you can have conversations about football all you want, but these kind of rant and ravings is pretty rare.
Well, yeah. I'm sure some will lead this way, some will lead to sports. It'll be all over the place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's so my thankful for, when I didn't know what your thankful for was going to be, was going to be something like a clean bath mat when you come out of the shower, and it's like freshly clean,
Mm.
and like your toes
Oh
go in
yeah.
there or something.
That's nice.
But while we're on a serious topic, I'll just go. What I'm really thankful for is my friends and family, that I started this like a week ago. I was like, what, I'm doing this, and my dad, like I said, stepped in, and you stepped up to be the first guest, and Cassie was like, I got the kids, and I'll take care of everything, and you just do what you want to do. So I'm very thankful that and started playing rugby last year, and I play football all the time, and that like I'm very thankful that I have family willing to come all over the place and do all these kind of different things to support the things I want to do. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Yeah, it sounds like, people might say that's like a cop-out answer, but it's really not. Because there's a lot of people, like, you are thankful for it. There's a lot of people that wish they could be in your position, and be able to say that they can do all those things. So it's good to be able that you can self-reflect and think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to brag to people who don't have it, but when people talk about being single and stuff in this current day and age, I always describe it like being on that last chopper out of Vietnam, because it's like the good wife and family that I have, and it's like looking down on like this crazy women out here and these like loser dudes out here, and it's just like I am so glad I just my way like out of there.
Yeah,
Like
you got out there just in time.
just in time. All right. Well, moving on. Do you have a certain tier list prepared?
For Florida?
For Florida. You're wearing the Florida Gators hat.
I have to. I gotta represent it. Maybe I should stop one class short of the school that I'm in right now and then finish in Florida.
You graduate UF Gator, baby.
Gator for life.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm not doing it.
Well, hold on. Before you get into that, I just want to give a shout out to Dead Threads Apparel. Use code FTFP for 10% off if you want some good NFL drip, some college football drip, some pro basketball. They got soccer. They got all kinds of things. And we just partnered up like day before this podcast aired, so I just want to give a huge shout out to them. That's code FTFP, 10% off, Dead Threads Apparel, at Dead Threads Apparel. Okay, anyway. Your tier list. Your number. Well, here. I'll go first. My tier 3, my C tier. I'm gonna start pretty easy, pretty basic. I'm gonna go with just like the weather, like when you go out on a June day and it's sunny and it doesn't matter. It's hot, but it feels so good. It being January now and it being cold and having to wear hoodies and stuff. That feeling of just the hot sun on your skin, and you're getting tan, and it's good for you, and you're probably out with the boys or with the family or whatever, and oh man, there's nothing better than that Florida sun.
That's funny that you got that as C, because that's my number 3 as well as the weather, especially being from way up north and -10 degrees and just being cold all the time to never being cold. It's the greatest place on earth. Greatest place on earth.
Yeah. It's it's kind of crazy when I hear people talk bad about Florida, and it's usually like a humidity that's a thing, but it's like, okay, if you can get over the humidity, which I semi understand. I like the humidity, but I can semi understand. It's got like, you got Miami if you want to go like club it and do stuff like that, and you got Orlando with Disney, and Tampa with the beautiful blue water, and Jacksonville if you want to go like hunting in like northern Florida with like the woods and stuff, like, and Panama City out and Destin out in the Panhandle. Like, it is the greatest state in the country, and I don't particularly think it's close. And also, that's ignoring the fact that it's like the freest state in the country right now, and so you basically you have the freedom to be and do whatever you want, and it's the greatest place in the world. So like,
yeah. Now I remember visiting when I was young. I only went there a couple times when I was younger, but I went to see my great grandmother, and I remember being in the pool in the backyard, and I was like, I could die here right now and be happy at 8 years old. Greatest place ever.
Well, all right. So that was your C tier too. So then my tier 2, you know me, this is where the Florida man comes out. I'm going to say the fauna, the animals, the fact that there's gators and sharks and all kinds of lizards and snakes and all that. Dude, it's so cool. Like being in America's Australia, like, we're going to the Jacksonville area tomorrow, and this area called the Greenway that we always walk, like, I've caught glass lizards there. I've caught like all kinds of different snakes and turtles, and we see alligators all the time. Like, it's just like living anywhere else. Like, I've lived all the way to Washington and a bunch of places in between, and it's just like birds and like squirrels and stuff. Like, and then you go to Florida and they have like any animal you could ever want that like God took his time on. He was like, here, it's going to Florida.
I wonder if you could look up like most diverse animal or most animal diversity in a state. I wonder where Florida would be on that. I really can't think of anything else that would be
Because
up
I was
there.
like, okay,
It's
maybe
actually-
California because they have like sea lions and stuff, but I highly because they don't have the reptiles that Florida does, so I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to look it up.
We'll look it up. Here, while you tell me your B tier, I will look it up.
Okay, mine. I will say Florida has the second best food I've ever had. So my number 2 is the diversity of food in Florida. You can just have anything: Chinese food, Mexican food, American cuisine, Southern food, boiled peanuts. You got it all down there. Yeah,
Talk dirty to me, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, unfortunately, I was correct as usual that California does rank number 1 in biodiversity, but
You're so smart, dude.
yeah, dude, I'm telling you, permanently vindicated. That was the second runner-up for the name of this podcast was going to be permanently vindicated because I just always am. But I digress. So the food, dude, it's like, and it's good too because I've lived in places where you can get like Mexican and Chinese and all the different things that you could want, but it's like that state's version of that where like Florida, you go get Cuban food, you're getting it from a Cuban. You go get Chinese, you're getting it from a Chinese person. Like you go get Southern, you're going to get it from like Bubba Gump. Like, you know, it's dude, it's so great. It's a great place. And then, so then tier A, putting it all together is sort of just like the vibe. And like I said before of like the freedom, but you know, you can go to the beach and like, you can like be wearing a tank top and be like all tanned out and stuff, and then you can go, like I said, up to Jacksonville and be wearing like camo and stuff, and it's just like you can do and be whatever you want and whoever you want. Like, you know, everybody thinks that like red states are like, oh, they're all like judgmental and like whatever, but like you and I have been to Florida together. We have seen some of the wildest looking people that you've ever seen, and they just walk down the street like it's like totally normal that they look like that.
Yeah.
So my tier A is just the vibe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think the first time I was ever going to Florida, somebody was saying like, "Oh, the people are so mean there," and I went there. People holding the doors open. I had no problems at all. It's very. It feels
you got the
free.
Southern hospitality. Yes, you feel so free, and it's funny because again, I've lived like all over the place. I've lived in red states. I've lived in blue states, and it's just, you know, and I don't know if it's the sun, which just makes everybody happier, but it is a free feeling because everybody is like, for the most part, like just happy. Like you just. Like everybody's in a good mood for the most part. Everybody's having a good time. Again, I know it's a normal. There are human beings in Florida, and I know the Florida man thing of like people committing crazy crimes. But for the most part, you go to Florida, and everybody's just vibing. Everybody's having a good time. Nobody cares if you want to be like a redneck shooting guns off the back of your truck that has like a Trump flag on the back, or if you want to go be like a blue environmentalist who like saves the turtles and stuff. Like they got stuff for all of you. Got stuff for everybody. Like. Oh, it's so good. I get riled up talking about the greatest state in the union, baby. I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped. Yeah, that's cool. And especially like on the note with the vibe, like there is no place on earth like sitting in Florida, smoking a cigar and having like a beer or a drink or whatever. Like that is heaven on earth, as close as you can get. Like, ooh.
No worries. Good. Oh yeah. It's funny that you say Florida man did this, because my number 1 is just the entertainment there, and I'm not saying like clubs or anything like that because I don't really care for that. But you turn on the news, local Florida man on bath salts tames a gator and releases it in the grocery store. Like stuff like that is what you'll get.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
We were playing, or well, I'm playing Far Cry 6 right now, and we just did a little side mission where you go to this dude's like mansion who's like a crocodile enthusiast, and he's got like crocodile statues and crocodiles living outside, and Cassie literally looked at me and went, "Oh no, that's you without me," and I was like, "Yeah, because I'm the Florida man." Like, yeah, it's just pet alligator. I don't know about no bath salts, but I pet alligator. taking him into Publix and be like, "Oh, he's my emotional support alligator."
Yeah.
Like,
Can't touch them.
I'm all about it.
Yeah. And then you always got the,
all right.
the trucks there too, like because there's no registry or no inspection there. You pull up and there's a truck, 4 lanes wide, as tall as 6 of us together, just driving around. There's some like old lady in it. They don't even care.
Super duty, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Dude. We keep rehashing the same point, but yeah, just the free energy you feel in Florida, like you can just be and do whatever you want, and it's like that doesn't exist everywhere. And people maybe who live in Florida take it for granted, but like, I mean, even like my mom obviously lives down there, works from home, and so she could just remote work from the most beautiful place in the world, like the Gulf Coast of Florida, like blue, beautiful water, and she's like, where else can you do that at? Like, nowhere.
Oh yeah,
nowhere.
I can't wait. A few more years, that'll be me.
A few more years. Well, a few more months. Hopefully, we're down there together. Maybe we'll do this podcast from the actual porch, and not.
That'd be perfect.
Hell yeah! It's a date then.
That sounds good.
All right, my brother. Well, we've been doing this for a hot minute. I'm sure you're hot because I'm fired up. But do you have any closing statements you want to make?
Nothing other than, thanks for having me on. It was fun. I mean, it felt like we were just talking like normal. It felt like one of our cigar talks. Right. So,
talking from the front porch.
From the front porch. My man.
Hell yeah. Ending on that. All right, brother. I appreciate you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're still here. Catch us next week for the newest episode of From the Front Porch. I am your host, Joshua Walker, and peace.